Righty, we're going to do something a little bit different on this one here. We're going to read this one like this. I'm going to talk like this, okay? So, where were we now? Thank you, Harry Potter. Thank you, Dolby said. No, that's not right. Okay, so Dolby, he was all upset, right? Because he said them bad things about them Malfoy family. And he runs over that table and he began banging his head on very hard, squealing, "Bad Dolby, bad Dolby." Harry seized Dolby by the back of his tie and pulled him away from the table. "Thank you, Harry Potter. Thank you," said Dolby breathlessly, rubbing his head. "You just needed a bit of practice," Harry said. "Practice," squealed Winky furiously. "You is ought to be ashamed of yourself, Dolby, talking that way about your masters." You don't want me to read like that? Okay. Okay, I won't read like that. You want me to read normal? In normal voice? All right. We'll read in normal voice. Oh, now I've lost my place. Let's see here. Well, we'll just start with Dobby saying thank you. "Thank you, Harry Potter, thank you," said Dobby, breathlessly, rubbing his head. "You just need a bit of practice," Harry said.
"Practice?"
squealed Winky furiously.
"You is ought to be ashamed of yourself, Dobby, talking that way about your masters."
"They isn't my masters anymore, Winky," said Dobby defiantly. "Dobby doesn't care what they think anymore."
"Oh, you is a bad elf, Dobby,"
moaned Winky, tears leaking down her face once more.
"My poor Mr. Crouch, what is he doing without Winky?
Is he needing me? Is he needing my help? I is looking after the Crouches all my life, and my mother is doing it before me, and my grandmother is doing it before her. Oh, what is they saying? If they knew Winky was free. Oh, the shame! Oh, the shame!" She buried her face in her skirt again and bawled. "Winky," said Hermione firmly, "I'm quite sure Mr. Crouch is getting along perfectly well without you. We've seen him, you know." "You is seeing my master?" said Winky, breathlessly raising her tear-stained face out of her skirt once more and goggling at Hermione. "You is seeing him here at Hogwarts?" "Yes," said Hermione. "He and Mr. Bagman are judges in the Triwizard Tournament." "Mr. Bagman comes too?" squealed Winky. Why do I always say that? Squeaked Winky. And to Harry's great surprise, and Ron's and Hermione's too by the looks of their faces, she looked angry again. "Mr. Bagman is a bad wizard. A very bad wizard. My master isn't liking him. Oh, no, not at all." "Bagman? Bad?" said Harry.
"Oh, yes,"
said Winky, nodding her head furiously.
"My master is telling Winky some things, but Winky is not saying. Winky keeps her master's secrets."
She dissolved yet again into tears. They could hear her sobbing into her skirt. "Poor master, poor master! No Winky to help him no more." They couldn't get another sensible word out of Winky. They left her to her crying and finished their tea, while Dobby chatted happily about his life as a free elf and his plans for his wages.
Dobby is going to buy a sweater next, Harry Potter,
he said, happily, pointing at his bare chest. Tell you what, Dobby, said Ron, who seemed to have taken a great liking to the elf, I'll give you the one my mum knits for me this Christmas. I always gets one from her. Gets. That's not what he said. I always get one from her. You don't mind maroon, do you? Dobby was delighted. We might have to shrink it a bit so it fits you, Ron told him, but it'll go well with your tea cozy. As they prepared to take their leave, many of the surrounding elves pressed in upon them, offering snacks to take back upstairs. Hermione refused with a pained look at the way the elves kept bowing and curtsying. But Harry and Ron loaded their pockets with cream cakes and pies. Thanks a lot, Harry said to the elves, who had all clustered around the door to say goodnight. See you, Dobby.
Harry Potter! Can Dobby come and see you sometime, sir?
Dobby asked tentatively. Of course you can, said Harry, and Dobby beamed. You know what, said Ron, once he, Hermione, and Harry had left the kitchens behind and were climbing the steps into the entrance hall again. All these years I've been really impressed with Fred and George nicking food from the kitchens. Well, it's not exactly difficult, is it? They can't wait to give it away. I think this is the best thing that could have happened to those elves, you know, said Hermione, leading the way back up the marble staircase. Dobby coming to work here, I mean. The other elves will see how happy he is, being free, and slowly it'll dawn on them that they want that too. Let's hope they don't look too closely at Winky, said Harry. Oh, she'll cheer up, said Hermione, though she sounded a bit doubtful. Once the shock's worn off, and she's got used to Hogwarts, she'll see how much better off she is without the Crouch. Without that Crouch man. She seems to love him, said Ron thickly. He had just started on a cream cake. Doesn't think much of Bagman, though, does she? Said Harry. Wonder what Crouch says at home about him. Probably says he's not a very good head of department, said Hermione. And let's face it, he's got a point, hasn't he? I'd still rather work for that than old Crouch, said Ron. At least Bagman's got a sense of humor. Don't let Percy hear you saying that, Hermione said, smiling slightly. Yeah, well, Percy wouldn't want to work for anyone with a sense of humor, would he? Said Ron, now starting a chocolate eclair. Percy wouldn't recognize a joke if it danced naked in front of him wearing Dobby's tea cozy. Wow, that was a long chapter. But we finally got through chapter 21. So the next chapter is chapter 22. And we can start that one. Oh, it's true. We do have about a minute left in our 10-ish minutes of reading time. Okay, I'll start chapter 22. But I'm going to read chapter 22 in a singing voice. The Unexpected Task is the name of the chapter. Potter Weasley, will you pay attention? Professor McGonagall's irritated voice cracked like a whip through the Transfiguration class on Thursday. And Harry and Ron both jumped and looked. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. Potter Weasley, will you pay attention? Professor McGonagall's irritated voice cracked like a whip through the Transfiguration class on Thursday, and Harry and Ron both jumped and looked up. It was the end of the lesson. They had finished their work. The guinea fowl they had been changing into a guinea pig had been shut away in a large cage on Professor McGonagall's desk. Neville's still had feathers. They had copied down their homework from the blackboard. Describe with examples the ways in which transfiguration... My goodness. Describe with examples the ways in which transforming spells must be adapted when performing cross-species switches. How'd you like that kind of homework? The bell rang. I'm having trouble here. The bell was due to ring at any moment, and Harry and Ron, who had been having a sword fight with a couple of Fred and George's fake wands at the back of the class, looked up. Ron holding a tin parrot, and Harry a rubber haddock. Haddock is a kind of fish, if you didn't know. So they were having a sword fight with a tin parrot and a fish. That's silly. Okay, we are over time now. We'll see what Professor McGonagall wanted to say in the next episode.